It was many years ago in the village of Akira, a place where the earth was rich, the rivers flowed like life itself, and the trees whispered stories older than the hills. It was here that a girl named Ojugo lived, but Ojugo was no ordinary girl. In fact, the villagers often whispered that she was cursed. Ojugo was abandoned at the doorstep of the orphanage when she was just a baby. No one knew where she came from. Some said she was a gift from the spirits. Others believed she was a punishment for some great wrong. But no one knew for sure. The orphanage in Akira was an old mud building, surrounded by thick walls that couldn't keep out the sounds of the outside world, and Ojugo lived there for as long as I can remember. Her blindness made the other children wary of her. She could not see them, but she could feel their eyes on her. They were afraid of her, and she of them. No one ever really spoke to her, not even the matron of the orphanage, who took care of the children with a stern and unforgiving heart. Ojugo's life was a lonely one, filled with the echoes of the other children's laughter but never joining in. I remember one evening, the dogs began barking outside the orphanage again. Woo! Woof! 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 They called, a great chorus of howls, scratching and clawing at the gate as if trying to break through. The villagers said it was the curse that followed Ojugo, but I always thought it was something more. Ojugo had a voice, and it was beautiful, but no one ever truly listened. She would sit alone in the corner of the orphanage and sing to herself, her voice drifting into the air, like a song that came from the very heart of the earth. The melody would linger for hours, so soft and sweet that sometimes even the rain would stop to listen. But no one ever gave her the chance to sing for others. No, she was to be left in the shadows, her beautiful soul hidden behind the veil of blindness. And yet, on one particular day, something changed. It was a special day, for a wealthy couple, the Obodos, had come to visit the orphanage. They were kind-hearted people who had done much for the community, and they had promised to celebrate the birthday of the children with gifts and food. The matron was overjoyed. This was her chance to impress the Obodos, to show them how well-behaved the children were and perhaps to get a child adopted into a family of fortune. But as the day wore on, the matron grew anxious. She was busy making sure that the brightest, the prettiest, and the most charming children were put in front of the guests. Ojugo, as always, was forgotten, locked away in her room. "Stay there and do not make a sound," the matron had ordered, her voice sharp like a whip. But Ojugo did not listen. As she sat in the dark of her room, her voice began to rise, filling the walls of the orphanage. It was soft at first, like the breeze before a storm, but then it grew, becoming more powerful, more beautiful. It was a song of sadness, but also of hope. The Obodos, who had been in the courtyard chatting, heard it, and they stopped mid-sentence. They turned to each other, the sound of Ojugo's voice drawing them like a magnet. "Where is that coming from?" Mr. Obodo asked, his voice filled with wonder. "That is the voice of a cursed child," the matron quickly replied, trying to dismiss it, to silence it. "Don't listen to it." But the Obodos would not be dissuaded. They followed the sound, their feet moving towards the orphanage, drawn by something greater than themselves. And that is when they found Ojugo,